Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's the afternoon, September 14th, 2022. I decided, since we had a little bit of rain yesterday, a little over 1/10 of an inch of rain, and so it's really wet down here at the entrance to the new property after going across the pond, the new access road. It's really sloppy and slick all around in here. And yesterday I filled in the big hugelkultur pit, which is below the brush pile that I've got started here today. I've only used about 1/3, or maybe I probably used half of the sand and clay mix. There's still the topsoil mix back there. But I thought I'd show you where I'm getting this brush from. So the higher the ground that we get, the more of a chance that I'll get into some gravel. And that's one of the goals, is to get into some decent gravel and dig a hugelkultur pit where the gravel is, and take all this material from the surface here and put it down into a hugelkultur pit. So far this is still looking like a fair amount of gravel, sand in here. There are some more stone, so I'm getting closer. But ultimately I want to get up to the pastures way up through the forest here. So I have been clearing some of the areas out around here using the excavator bucket, just the standard excavator bucket with the teeth on it, and just sort of ripping free some of all the small trees, breaking some of the grapevines. Like here's some of the grapevines here. They're all over in here. And just trying to find some decent trees, leave those, and work my way up and see if I can find a path heading up in that direction, and then see if I can see a location. So when I still look at the ground here, still a lot of sand. Now there's not a lot of topsoil in this area. A lot of sand mixed in with just the organic material that's fallen on the forest floor here. But there are more stones in here, which is an indication we probably have some more gravel. This is probably getting more gravelly. And of course the moss loves just that superficial moisture and well drained. So as we're getting up closer in this area here, I'm staying away from the stone wall right now because I don't want to take down so many trees. There's so darn many trees, and I've got too many piles of trees to cut up and try and sell in the future here. But we have all these, you probably can't see it, there's a trench down here, there's another trench over there, and this one right here goes right down and empties. Both of these empty right down into the area where I'm going to be putting the roadway in. So what I'm going to do is just spend a couple of hours pulling back, clearing up some of this material, breaking down the vines. The vines aren't so bad in here that they aren't going across each tree. They're going across a few trees, but it isn't as bad as on the other property. So what I'll do is I'll work my way up here, try to save all the decent trees, and then later on, after I've done enough clearing, then I'll try and determine where the road's going to be. It may not be the future road, but it at least will be a road to be able to get back and forth from one road to the other road. And I'm talking about the town roads now, not my private access roads. Well, we have two stone walls here. So there's one right here and another stone wall there. So it's similar to the other property where I had it, but at least it isn't filled up in the center here. And I may end up having to come up here, make an access to this point here. That stone actually looks pretty good. Scraping out some of this stone to use for filling in the base of the roadway down there. So that's what I'm going to try and do now. I'm going to try and work my way up through here. That'll open up a pretty decent path right up in here, and we'll see how that goes. Hey folks, well, I believe it's the next day. I'm having trouble keeping track of videos that I'm creating right now. And right now I'm sitting in the Hulk, which is the Takeuchi TL12 V2 track loader. And yesterday I think I started the video off talking about, after establishing the base station out here, the goal was to see if I could find some gravel, since I found sand and clay previously, and to see if I could start a roadway up through the forest. So I did make a roadway. We'll walk up there in just a moment. It's a short roadway. And I did dig, you know, it's one of those things where usually the further you get up away from where the low level sand is, you will get into some gravel veins up in there. And I tested a couple of spots, and I didn't dig down deep, but I dug down a couple of buckets full, and saw that it wasn't much better than the sand and clay that I got from down here. And since I created the material by clearing the road and mounted up all of that, the multiflora roses, all the small dead, diseased, and dying trees, and of course I did have to take out a few decent ash trees on the way up there, and one small maple to make a roadway. But I'm trying to do the least amount of damage as I work my way up through there. And since I had tested the soil up there to see can I find some gravel, I decided what I'm going to do is move this sand pile here and harvest some of the stone walls. So I'll get out now and show you what I mean. Not the safest thing to do, get out with a camera. So as you can see here, I'm standing in the marshy area here, and you can see I've got stuff staged up, and over here is the pond. On the other side of the access road over there is the rest of the pond over there. So that's the road we built over the last few weeks. Now I'm standing right in a low-lying area here, which is very moist. If I were to bring a tractor over here, I'd sink. If we walked a horse over here, we'd sink. So what I decided to do was make the road go over to a stone wall, and I've been laying out the stone all along in here from a stone wall, and putting some of the sand and clay mixture. That'll filter down in between the stones, and but later on when I get gravel, this will all be gravel. And with my base camp video that I just posted this morning, which this one will go up in a couple of days, I guess, one of the things I mentioned was I wanted this roadway to be able to connect with the road on the other side of the Hulk there. So I mentioned to either go down this way or this way over here and all. So here we are, we're building the area down in there. I have a lot more to clear up around in here, and I'll make sitting areas. As I find different boulders, I'll bring some of the boulders down along the margins for us to be able to sit down there as well. I did get a question about what are these pits, and I've made quite a few videos now on hugelkultur pits. And hugelkultur just talks about growing systems like gardening in permaculture and all, where we take woody material instead of burning it and lay it down and cover it with dirt and then plant plants into it. And I did that for several years, and then I came up with the idea after we did a large clearing of an area, instead of doing large burn piles. So when you look at a pile like this, I don't know how well this is showing up. So underneath this burn pile is that last hugelkultur pit that I put in down below here. And so you can see there's lots of grapevines, branches, there's stumps, anything that was decent burning wood I set to the side. But there's stuff that's 3 and 4 inches in diameter, things I could break up with Elon, the excavator, and I just pile it up, and that's several feet thick. And this material, I'll dig a big hole, like you saw in the last base camp video or my other hugelkultur pit videos. I dig a big hole and I deposit all this material into the hole, and that keeps it from going up into the atmosphere, contributing to CO2 and hastening the development of climate change. So, and it preserved nutrients and all, and these are habitats. And it also helps to absorb moisture. So it retains moisture. These are all the nutrients that came from soil. All of these trees around here came from the microbial organisms that fed all of these trees from the soil microorganisms in the soil. And of course photosynthesis as well. So all of this stuff is going to go back and feed future forested areas or fruit trees or nut trees if I want to plant those over in this area. It's a way of not burning the material and saving it, keeping it from going up into the atmosphere rapidly. So that's what I'm calling a hugelkultur pit. This material as well as other. So as I deposit more stone down here to build an access ramp to the road that crosses through the ponds. So as I deposit the stones down there, I'll take some of the sand and clay mixture and top it off, and that way I won't sink very much. This material will work its way down between all of the stones and contribute to a nice road base. So we'll go up above up here. So this is the roadway that I worked. Now, if you saw in the base camp video, this was all forest like right here. And I don't know how well this is showing up with the sun being out here now. But this is a roadway I made. And the access roads have to be big enough so that I can move the dump trailer and heavy equipment back and forth. But there will only be a couple of roads going from the main roads that we live on back and forth. The rest will be trails that will keep cut down with the small tractor and a small mower. You know, just nice, like 5-foot wide trails. Well, I came up over here and I did a test pit right here to see, is there any decent gravel? There is more stone than just the sand, as we saw down below. And I came up here and tested another spot up over here, and it really wasn't, it just didn't have the amount of stone to sand, or larger particle to smaller particle, that's necessary for a good solid foundation that you can run your equipment over, and it isn't going to get washed out easily and that sort of thing. So that's one of the things. When I build something, I'm always thinking about 10-year and 100-year floods, weather events and all. So that's what I'm always thinking about. So we have the stone walls that are over in here. So I use Elon over here to come in and tease out, and you've probably seen some of and that's a pileated woodpecker right there. The sound I'm saying. So we had a large stone pile right here between two stone walls that go down parallel to one another here. Carol and Thea, you may see some of the red tree markers going up. So there's one stone wall here and one stone wall here, and there happened to be a pile here. There are a few larger rocks in here as well. I dug out, these are always buried in here. And then I'll come up and I'll take the sand and I'll fill in the spots where all of these stones over the many years that they've been here have been sinking in. I dug out a couple of the big stones from over in here. So these ones here I'll end up bringing down along the pond edges, and they'll be nice sitting stones to take a break on as well down along the ponds. And there's several more all throughout here. There's never a shortage of stones here on our property. So that's where I'm at this point. Time to move some more stone, build that base to the roadway, and then won't happen today, but I'm going to extend more roadway behind Elon going up here and try and connect a road up over in this direction as I'm crossing the stone wall. Just always trying to find the less serpentine path and the one that I don't have to take out too many trees in the process, and take out some of the ones that are real leaners and that have all the heavily loaded with either the grapevines or the multiflora rose bushes and all. So that's it. I'm going to get back to work now. I hope you folks have a super fantastic day, and I don't know if there's going to be some time-lapse footage in here someplace, but I really can't set up cameras when I'm clearing the road, because when I did set up the camera, what ended up happening was the tree that I was taking down, it hit another tree and then took the camera down. So back to work.